Welcome to Unguarded. I am your host, Bec Smith, and this is my amazing husband, Joe.
Let's go.
Okay, let's
Intro
go.
me. Got me.
I know, I do got you. I really did get you. Okay. And we, on this podcast, we talk about relationships in every season. We love talking about life. We want to pull back the layers and talk about what really matters. So we hope you enjoy this conversation.
But first and foremost,
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This is the week.
It is Christmas week.
As you can see, we're wearing red
we
to
are
celebrate.
Matching red. We love to match.
It's not even matching, but I love that you think it's matching.
This isn't matching. You're wearing red and I'm wearing red.
Yeah, but I'm wearing a different kind of red.
A different kind of what?
Red.
That would be what we call it matching.
All my girls out there will be like, all guys will be like, she knows what she's talking about.
I didn't say we're twinning. I said we're matching. There's a difference.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's Christmas.
It is Christmas.
Wherever you are in the world, we hope you are having an amazing Christmas. You had an amazing Christmas. It's our favorite time of the year. This year our tree got hijacked by our children because they said every year it's just a white tree. It's just got white bulbs on it. There's no color.
There was color, it's just not in the lights.
Not in the lights. Yes,
Yeah.
ornaments that color all that.
Yeah.
We said, okay, we'll give you the tree this year.
I mean, I pretty much cried inside as I said, yeah, sure. I mean, Joe, you looked at me and you were like, babe, it's the kids.
It's all about them.
It's all about the kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it like reminds me, I mean, it's such a 90s tree, which I guess is a great era. It's just that.
It's great. 90s are back, baby. Let's go.
You know what's funny too is like every time I come home, I see the lights from the Christmas tree like gleaming. It feels like, oh, the TV's on because it's a blue light.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, has Joe got the lights off? Or he's got TV on? Maybe, but that never really happens. And then I'm like, no, that's the dang Christmas tree.
It is. Yep.
I'm just a little sad because I really want my white lights.
Yeah, we'll be back next year. But
You say that, but then they'll probably beg me again. And every year they get a little older, so they get a little more like, no. Before they were like, oh, okay, we'll do what you want to, we'll do white lights. This year it was like 3 against 1.
yeah, we compromise and
Did we compromise?
yeah,
I
we
feel like
gave
they
him
just-
we gave him the tree this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No,
it's
I feel like
we
they
got
would
it the first 9 years of Zai's life. Yeah, and it was really him. He wanted a colorful Christmas. And,
No, I think all 3 boys definitely wanted it.
but yeah, But regardless, it's festive in our
It
house.
is.
There's so many presents under the tree. Grandma and Pop came for Thanksgiving and just unloaded all the gifts. And so
Yeah.
it's funny watching all the kids, especially Rocky, be near the presents, trying to act like she's not opening them up to look at them. But she's 3 now. And
Yeah,
so she's very,
yesterday she said, I want to open this gift, Mommy. And I was like, no, baby, it's for Christmas. It's so far. I was like, oh yeah, you have to wait
yeah. It is far for a
for a 3-year-old.
3-year-old, 100%.
She's like, why do I have to keep staring at these gifts and not open them? This is
Yep.
the first year where she comprehends that there's gifts and she can't open them.
This is true. Yeah.
Tough.
We're in the elf on a shelf game right now as well, because some
Our
of the
kids
kids
love it.
still believe in that and then love the
They-
magic of it. And so a couple nights we've already forgotten and some excuse was made. I don't remember.
We thought they wouldn't care for it, and then Grandma did it.
Grandma started the elf on
started
the
it
shelf
up on the
a couple
shelf.
years ago. Yeah.
Yes, but then she started this Thanksgiving. She put it on the tree. Next morning, the kids go crazy about Alf's back, and oh my gosh, it's magic! Don't touch it, or
But
else
if
it
you do
loses its
touch it,
magic.
you have to sprinkle sugar on it.
Oh,
And that's how it's able to move again. Parents come up with all the lies. But we found because if you touch it, then it loses its magic.
Yeah.
But then they told us the other day but if you sprinkle sugar on it, it reactivates the magic.
okay.
So that's how it was able to
Move again.
again, like the next day or something. I think it's Marley, one of our friends who, lives with us, she moved it. And so, because we forgot.
Yeah,
And so,
I forget every time.
So anyhow,
but
All
it's
the Christmas
magical.
What's one of your favorite Christmas traditions growing up? What'd you love?
My Christmas tradition that I loved was that I would wake up in the morning and there would be a Santa sack at the end of my bed, full of gifts. This just
Wow,
shows,
we live different lives.
yeah, this shows like how much my mom, not only she and my parents spoiled us, but mom loved gifts.
David, did you have a Santa sack at the end of your bed on Christmas?
So that's the crazy
100%.
thing. And I remember I would like wake up and go with my twin sister Missy, go, Missy, do you see the Santa sack? She's like, yeah, I see the Santa sack. And I'm like, okay, let's go back to sleep because we wanted to delay the gratification. We're that kid,
Yeah.
those kids. We didn't wake up super early. We were like, no, let's wait a little longer. And then we'd grab the bag, take it to our parents' room. On their bed, we would open up those gifts. And then that was great. And then we would have breakfast, and then we would go to open the other gifts.
There was more gifts
Yes.
under the tree in addition.
Yes.
Oh, wow. What was the point of the gifts in the sack?
I don't know. My mom loved the idea that we would wake up with Santa bags, and we really feel like, oh my gosh, Santa came and dropped a bag at our beds, as well as there was gifts under the tree.
Okay.
And then sometimes she would lose gifts in her, like, now I get it because you stuff gifts away. And then throughout the year, she'd be like, oh my gosh, I found this Christmas gift. I was like, she is a gift giver.
Yep.
What's your Christmas tradition?
Or
Favorite one?
Maybe favorite one, I would say Christmas Eve. We would always go to friends' houses that became like family, and we would do like, dinner, or we would do desserts, and then we would read the Christmas story every year together, and it was always special. And then also, Christmas Eve we were able to open one gift, and we'd open that gift while watching. What's that movie?
Elf?
Oh, Christmas Story. No.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because that would be like that just plays on TV, right?
Yeah, it would be old school TNT. I'll never forget it was like a marathon of the Christmas Story. And, you'll shoot your eye out. That whole thing with Ralphie and the kid sticks his tongue on the pole, it's frozen. And you have all these moments. But before there was Elf, there was a Christmas Story. Now I feel like the young kids, the youngins, as we say, they're all about Elf now, which I do.
Elf's a great movie.
Elf's a great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Ferrell in his prime. So can't go wrong with that. But yeah, we would find great Christmas movie. Even now, one of the things we do with the kids, right, is try to find like the latest Netflix Christmas movie that we could all watch together, and it's come kind of our tradition in the Smith household.
Yeah, but we don't do it
Not
on
on
Christmas Day.
Eve, but
Or
on
Christmas Eve.
Day.
No, we don't. Do we?
No, I said we don't. No, we
Oh.
just do a Christmas like around
their
Christmas
Christmas week,
time.
yeah.
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 But we used to also go watch a movie. I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, but that was one of the traditions growing up too. But now
I think
it's like it
when
was
I-
when we were older.
Yeah, when I came to Arizona, I think I do remember that I went to a movie with your family
Yep.
on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it used to be
It's
tradition.
so fun. I wish we could.
We will. And how old's
But
Rocky?
we don't.
In like 16 more years.
We'll be doing it. But yeah, that would be cool.
But no, I'm excited for this Christmas. In addition to Christmas, we have all the birthdays as well.
Yeah.
And so it's a month of celebration. But it is amazing that at the end of the month, we're like exhausted. We're done celebrating.
Yeah.
Right? Because you also have, at Mosaic, we do a Christmas Eve and we do Christmas tree lighting.
I love that.
And then you have all the Christmas parties, right? Work and family and friends and all that stuff. So it's just like Christmas or December itself
It's so busy.
is so
Like-
busy, but it's fun. It keeps things lively.
It does. It does. We have a Christmas party tonight. Our friends, we're gonna do a Christmas party next week with our friends, which I love because I'm like, sometimes I like don't want to dress up for a party, and then I think, well, I've never dressed like all year. I haven't dressed up to go to a party. Like I think it's special when you're like, okay, I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna wear and put some effort in dressing up. So I'm
love
excited.
dressing up. I'm so excited. When I got the invite and I saw that it said you had to dress up, I text the person who sent it. I said, Oh, it says fancy dress, fancy
Yeah.
attire. I said, how fancy? You know? And then
Well-
they were snarky and they said, look at the invitation. I said, all right, you want to have some snark? I'll show you your name, show me your name nameless. You know who you are?
But I mean, guys, I think can get away with.
No, then it was
pretty
like
minimal.
suits and
I don't think so.
I read the invitation. It was dressing up like suits and I don't know if it said tuxes, but suit attire. I'm
Oh,
like,
suit
I don't
attire.
wear suits at church. I don't wear
Luckily,
suits hardly
I
for a
dry
wedding.
cleaned your. Yes, you do for weddings when you're.
Sometimes I like
officiating.
to wear a little different kind of suit.
Yeah, well, that's what you should do.
The
But yeah,
point
that's
is, I don't want to
dressy.
dress up. I want to eat good food.
But
I
don't you
wanna
want to see
laugh.
me dressed up?
You look great, dressed up, dressed down, dressed however.
Okay,
If you want to
well,
dress
that's
up, it's great. But it's also have a little rebellious spirit, and when somebody tells me that I need to dress up, it drives me crazy.
You know, that's what's really frustrating is that if I ever give not ever, but when I do give oh, hey, maybe you shouldn't wear that, you should wear this, your instant reaction is no. Like that is your rebel. I'm like, now this is why it's so exhausting sometimes.
Being married to
like,
me.
Why can't you just go, oh yeah, good point, I will do that. I don't
Because
know.
What if I have a different thought?
I know, but sometimes it feels like you're doing it not because you have a different thought, but because you just like being, once you've committed, then you're committed. And you don't like my opinion to change your opinion.
That there may be truth to that at times. There may be truth to that. Not at times.
What made you change your outfit idea for Sunday? Because we were speaking together on Sunday.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, love the shirt. What you're wearing today? And I actually do like it on you. It looks good. But I was like, I think it's too casual. I think we've seen it many years. I think it'd be nice for you to change it up. And you're like, no, I'm wearing the shirt. But
I
then
never said that. No.
What'd you say?
Maybe you heard.
What'd you say?
No. Because it's funny, even we're talking about communication
Okay.
at some point, but
We are.
what's said and what's heard. Because I love when you phrase questions, it's not even, it's statements that are,
No, questions that seem like
questions that are hiding behind.
a statement. Statement is
Clear
hiding
statement.
behind a
It's like,
question.
oh, you're gonna wear that shirt, like that. or even a little before this. I like your hair longer, right? The thing behind the thing. Maybe it's a better way to put it. The thing behind the thing is cut your hair,
Yeah.
change your shirt, eat that food, you know. And I like to have opinions.
I'm not here to tell you to eat your food.
I just threw that one in there. But there has been times where you're like, oh, are you going to order that? Or do you want me to, can we share? I don't know if you want that. I think you should have this. And I'm like, I really want my steak.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just, as everyone knows, in relationships, there's nuances.
But sometimes I just want to, for the record,
Put it on record.
that sometimes when I suggest something, I remember at conference we were hosting, you were wearing a jacket, you had this incredibly dope shirt underneath, and you were like, I want to wear the jacket on stage. And I was like, please don't wear that jacket on stage. The jacket covers up the shirt, and the shirt is incredible. Happened to be the guy who designed it is in the room who designed the shirt. And you're like, no, I want to wear the jacket. And I was like, is there a moment? And then is there a moment where you're like, oh, maybe you're right. I hadn't thought about that.
For sure.
But you never
100%.
communicate that. You just go, no, I like the jacket. I want to wear the jacket. I'm like,
Because sometimes I just want to wear the jacket.
but do you get what I'm saying? If I suggest something,
100%.
you never say, oh yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that way. You just go, no, I want to do this.
Sometimes I do, but because I think the tension that you feel is you don't feel like you're making a suggestion. You're making a
strong suggestion.
This is what should happen.
And you just don't like that part? Is that how
There
I
is
should?
some of that I don't like. This is true. I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Or being what I feel like, you need to do this because I'm telling you to do this. I do have a natural resistance towards people maybe forcing me to do things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I feel that, my immediate response may not, I don't know if it's necessarily no, there may be a, hey, let's talk this out.
I don't think you're ever really willing to talk it out. That's the vibe that I get.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Could be, but because the vibe that I get is you need to do what I'm telling you to do. Change the shirt as just in the phrasing. Hey, hey, what do you think about not wearing the jacket and wearing the shirt? Or what do you think about, your hair being longer? Or what, I love options. I love proposals.
So you're saying I should change the way I phrase it?
I'm not saying you should change it. If you're asking maybe what's the thing you experience sometimes in those moments, and maybe that's a great lead in to a conversation that we want to have.
Yeah.
Because
I just want to, before we go into the intro of the next part.
Yes.
On Sunday, what made you change your mind of what you wore? Because I didn't see you for an hour or less, and
you had to go earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then I didn't see you until you arrived, and you're wearing something completely different. So what happened between, okay, I'm wearing this shirt, and then choosing something else?
Yeah, sometimes you choose your battles. I do like this shirt. That's why I'm wearing it today, right? I wanted to wear the shirt. That was the plan. But I just decided to take an L that day.
But but the question is, this is what bugs me so much.
Tell me.
Is why, does it ever occur to you, go, oh, maybe she has a point? Or you literally only go with what I say because you're taking L?
No, there's plenty. You may not remember or experience or feels the way that I'd never respond or never say yes to what you want. But I think it's because you're remembering the times that you feel the resistance. Because there's been plenty of times where I've taken your suggestion.
I know you have. But that's the thing, is I don't know the in between, because when I ask you later, conference, you did take off your jacket in the last second, probably just to prove a point. I'm going to wear my jacket
for as long as
possible. So I'm sitting here stressing, thinking you're going to wear the jacket on stage, and then I turn around, we walk on stage, and I turn around, and you don't have the jacket on. I was like, oh, thank God, I could have just exhaled. But then what happens in between those moments? Is it just because, okay, I'll give her this win? Or is it because you think, oh, she has a point? That's what I want to because you never.
I think you have a point a lot of times. It just may not be the point that I want in the moment. I don't think maybe it's a good point to dig into that it's not necessarily there's a right point and a wrong point. Mm-hmm. Which may be something how we see it, or a right choice or a better choice, right? Yeah. So in those instances, it's not that I need to take an L because you have the best choice and I had a terrible choice. I think sometimes it's going, I think both choices would have been fine, and I'm just gonna choose what you want.
Choose what I want, or choose what you think could be, maybe she has a point. That's what I want to.
But I think the difference is, I think you have a point. I've never thought, oh, that's a terrible point, or I disagree. Or maybe I have it at some point. So most of the time, it's not that I disagree with your point. I think that's what bristles you wrong.
Yeah.
Is that if I don't choose it, you think I'm communicating you don't have a point.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm saying, what I'm trying not to communicate is that you don't have a point. It's that, I can do a better job of describing that. I hear you. I see your suggestion.
No, you say that, yeah.
I take that into note. I just am going to do something different.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think it means I don't think it means A, you don't have a point, or B, I'm not taking your point in consideration. It just could mean C, noted, heard, thank you. But for this instance, for whatever reason, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does. I'm like, okay, why can't I get my mind around that?
That's a question for you to answer, not for me.
No, I know. But with the conference thing, you were just like, okay, I'll let her win for this one.
I mean, that was so long ago. I don't remember that one. Yeah, I'm sure it was something. Not even let it win her. It could have been. It could have been as noble as I needed some time and she's right and I'll take it off, my princess. Could have been that noble. It could have been as not noble as it was hot and I just wanted to take it off. I have no clue. I don't recall. But for Sunday, we could talk about that. That was more recent. That was just I didn't. If I really loved this shirt, if I loved it 10 times more than the other one, then I probably would have wore this one.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was a nominal. They were on par with each other, and so I knew that it would serve you and excite you, and you would feel appreciated based off of me wearing
that's
that.
true.
And so
It's funny because I'm like, it's like, do I care more about being appreciated or do I care about like that the opinion was right? Does that make sense?
I do. If we're getting there on Unguarded,
Yeah.
I do think that is a huge aspect of. I do think you love being right, and you want your opinion to be right. And if it's not, or you want your opinion to be chosen, because then if it's chosen, it validates maybe your need to be right. And we're just wired differently, you know.
I know, but I wonder too. It's like when I've thought to, there's been moments where aesthetically, for instance, where I thought I was right. And then someone came in and said, no, I think we need to get rid of like all of this aesthetic and change the aesthetic. And I was like, I remember thinking, you're wrong. Like what, how can you get rid of all of this? This is so good. Then when they brought in their aesthetic, I'm like, I was completely wrong. Like you were right. And this is a much better direction. But I'm not going, I mean, obviously they were more superior to me, so I would go with what they wanted. But I think it's important to state your option. I'm not just going with your option just because you said it. I'm actually going with your option because it's better.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's interesting that you are so strong with what you think is that, and I'm not even saying that you're ever arrogant of anything, but like there be times
plenty arrogant on things.
I don't know, but could there be times where you're like, oh, that's actually was a great point, I didn't think about that, it was a better option. Instead, when you come off the stage, you're like, oh, I did it just for you. To me, that frustrates me sometimes because I'm like, I don't want you to just do it just for me. I want you to do it because you think the idea is better, because I want us both to win. I'm not saying it just for me to be right. I'm saying it so that you win. I'm thinking about you in that moment. Like, how is this going to look? How is this going to represent? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
David, jump in here.
Keep diving. What are you getting at?
Is that there's moments where you can say, hey, this was a better idea, so I went with a better idea. I'm not choosing it because you told me to choose it. I'm doing it because I do actually think what you presented was the best choice. And that's why I chose it.
Yeah.
Because it validates me more so than you choosing it because you love me. And I know that seems crazy, but I want to be validated for my like a creative integrity. Like I'm choosing this creative integrity over this one because I think you're right. This is actually better creatively or better choice, style-wise. But it's not about. It's about what has come into that. It's like I think about Devils Wears Prada, and there's a scene where she's wearing this blue sweater, and she's like, "You chose this blue sweater just because you chose this blue sweater, but you don't know the work that went into finding this blue.
Sure.
This blue isn't just a cobalt blue. This is someone who knows, like Bella Coleman, who knows Devils Wears Prada, will know the blue, that it was the blue that she said. But it's like there's specific blue, but there was so much work that went involved to choosing that blue for then you to pick it up and go, you think you had all the power to choose that sweater. It wasn't anything to do with you. It was all the creative designers ahead of you that chose this specific blue to make this sweater. So what I'm saying is that there's certain things where you could validate, oh, hey, I know that you work really hard, because that's what I do for even with my vintage clothing. It's like trying to figure out what makes something great design-wise.
Yep.
I'm constantly working at it.
Yeah, for sure.
So you validating the style choice is not, I want it to be about the actual work that is behind the opinion. It's not me, your wife, giving you the opinion. It's me, the designer, creative stylist, that's giving you the opinion.
Yep. And I think there's times where 100%, like that's, you speak into that and you acknowledge that. And I think there are moments where, yeah, I'll go, yeah, you have so many things you have better taste on.
But this thing, you don't really communicate that.
There's so many things you have better taste on.
Okay, you're communicating now. I should just be
Uh,
happy.
But there's also things that I think that's the beauty of human uniqueness, right? And why also style and aesthetic can be both obvious and also subtle. It can be like universal, but it can also be individualistic, right? And there's certain things that people like. There are certain stylists or people who are stylish that a huge segment of the world would be like, that person is so out of touch,
Yeah.
right? But it's like,
Or it's not your style.
yeah, where it's like unique to them. And I do think we have different. Maybe that's even some of it too. We have things that are similar stylistically, but then we also have things that are
Yeah, it's true.
very different, and very, very unique. And, but yeah, I think that's an interesting thing you're even talking about, going, are there moments where I want to be validated because of my
Relational.
Yeah, or say I want to be validated because of what I see, and I want to be validated because of who I am. Like in which one of those is needed in the moment, which one is important in the circumstance, and maybe that's a part of even relationships, is figuring out which one is about the person and which one is about the choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of missing each other. Someone has to jump in here. I mean, I just think.
It's just me and you. There's no one else to jump in.
No, I know. But whoever's listening can comment. But it's like, oh, I'm thinking about when you're photographed. I know those moments where I'm like, oh, this is where it's photographed so well. And, I tell you time and time again, like simplicity, 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 especially up on stage and being photographed. And I'm not saying like I want to control that, because I guess that's what you're saying is, well, I can do whatever if I feel comfortable in it and I like it, then I should be able to wear it, which is very true. But are there times when you can communicate, hey, I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. I'm going to go with you, not just because I'm your wife, but because the opinion holds weight, just in the self that it's like, oh, maybe I don't really understand, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I trust your opinion. Not for the relational, but because of
So
the
you're
work.
saying even the relational side doesn't matter? I'm asking.
Yeah.
You.
I'm saying like sometimes I don't want you to do it because you just want to give me a win because I'm your wife. But I want you to validate the opinion because you could be seeing something that I'm not seeing, and I trust your opinion because it has like depth to it. It has like, I've worked hard for it. So, okay, for instance, sometimes, and I get it. I'm trying to see both sides of the coin. But communication wise, you're a far more proficient communicator than I am. So there's a lot of times.
How so? You have communication in your top 5 in Strength Finders.
Yeah, but you've mastered.
As a skill set.
Yes, you've mastered that skill set of communication. So I'm learning from you. So of course, there's going to be natural things that I do that's just me, and it's just me being me. Like I carry my essence is different than your essence, right?
Sure, yeah.
But there is certain feedback that I want from you because you're you're better at this. You're good at it. And I want your skill set because I know you've worked hard for it to get to this place. So of course I want your opinion on my talk prior to giving it. Like I want your feedback. So maybe that's the thing even. Maybe that's a different posture. It's like, hey, what do you think is better? I mean, sometimes, and you do this. I'm not saying you don't. You ask me for my opinion, like, do you think this or do you think this? And then I give you my feedback. It's just maybe when it's not, maybe this is it. It's like when it's not asked, you're not asking for my feedback, but I'm giving it to you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Your wall goes up and you say, no, I want to do what I want. I'm like, okay.
This is a great segue into some things that we have identified in terms of pillars in a relationship. We've had multiple people over the years go, hey, I love when you talk about different things, frameworks, different foundational pieces. And one of the pieces, one of the pillars, one of the foundational things that we talk about is communication. Is how do you not just communicate to the person, but also how do you receive communication? How do you cut through what's not just being said, but what's being heard? How do you cut through not just what's on the surface, but what's deep down? And so on a communication level, right, what are the things that you feel like helps a person connect to another person as it relates to communication, and you're able to get on the same page, or even get back on the same page if you feel like you've drifted a bit? What are some of the keys to communication? As we're wrestling through this, we're discovering live in real time.
Just want to kick your foot.
That is
nonverbal communication. If I could hug you, I would. I think is wrestling, caring enough about the person to wrestle through whatever the hurt may be. Like if there is a hurt, of a miscommunication that happens and the other person's hurt, I'm hurt. And I think it's like, okay, believing in the best in you and knowing that I'm safe with you, that I can come and tell you this is where I feel like we're missing each other. So I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, I did not mean to bring up all that, but I do think it's like, oh, those little small things that happen, the miscommunications that happen, or where you don't feel heard, you don't feel validated. You sometimes, like, we just brush those little things off because they don't really matter to the overall thing. But there is time to time where I'm like, oh dang, I want to ask him about this because I don't really understand your point of view in this. So I feel like making sure that you have conversations about the miscommunication and not just assuming you understand, but really digging into the thing. And I think even if we've done couples therapy a couple of years back, and the one thing that he brought up was that I needed more courage to bring up to you what it is that's frustrating me or whatever it is. And then I realized that when I do bring things up, I do think, oh wow, this is really hard. I have to, and it may not even be anything that big of a deal. Sure. I just, to be the person that starts the conversation, can be scary. Even though I know you're the safest person to bring these things up.
So what's scary?
I don't know, you're gonna not think it's valid. The feelings aren't valid. And maybe sometimes the feelings aren't really that valid, that they're like misplaced feelings. Like, oh, I feel rejected, or like you don't care. So I have to bring that up. And then maybe in my mind is like, what if that is true?
Sure, yeah.
And there's been times where I remember when we were first doing this process of bringing things up, and I remember you'd be like, oh no, but da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, no, I have to tell you, because you don't realize how much guts it takes for me. And I had to say it. hey, this is actually really hard for me and this feels vulnerable for me to bring this up. And then when you heard the trigger word, you're like, okay, I'll give you space. Like, I'll really give you time to talk this out. Like, this is not a small thing, because sometimes most of the time it's like when we're driving, I bring things up. I feel like it's
Sure.
a great place to do it.
Driving or about to go to sleep. Those are the two
That too, actually.
prime environments.
Yeah, because it's like there's no distraction, and when we're going to sleep, it's dark, so I don't feel like it feels a little easier to be open.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So it's like creating that right environment where like there's nothing worse, like especially because we have 4 kids, bringing something up to you in the kitchen while we're cooking
During
or
dinner
while you're
time.
cooking,
Yeah.
and then the kids are running it. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
then we're going to be cut off, and then we're not going to get resolved. It's going to open something up that's really hard to open, and then it's just sitting out there and it can't be resolved until later.
Yeah, yeah. So the environment is key.
The environment is very key.
Yep.
And making sure that you aren't bringing it up while you're feeling all the emotions, if possible.
May explain that more. Yeah.
Like, not letting the emotions take over you, because I mean, the times when we were newly married, I would bring up something or I would say something full of emotion and it would go badly. I wouldn't be able to communicate what I really felt because I was so entrenched in the emotions that I was a little bit crazy.
Sure.
And you were like, what? I'm confused. What's happened? Why are you upset? You know, it's like then you have to you're trying to get into the story from the middle rather than me now taking a lot more time to really think, like, what is it that bothers me? And do I need to bring this up?
Yep.
Like, taking more time to really deliberate over my feelings, over the situation, over what happened before I bring it to you. So environment, and then how you say it, and making sure and you've calmed down a bit. You're not
the emotions aren't at the highest, and
Yeah.
you're speaking out of turn because
exactly where I'm getting lost in my emotions and I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Yep.
Like, when you're seeing red, you're not going to be clear.
Yeah. Very true.
What do you think
About
communication? What do you think is key?
what's key to communication? One is communicating.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, holding things in and acting like things are fine. I think that's been a journey for us too, of make sure we're not sweeping things under the rug.
Yeah.
Right. Or act like we're okay with a thing when we're not. So I think that's a huge aspect. Can you bring it to the table quickly? Right? Can you bring it to the forefront? Can you bring all of it? So I think that's the other thing that can really jam people up in their communication style, is bringing up portions of a thing rather than the whole thing.
Okay.
But you can't deal with the whole thing if you don't bring the whole thing. But just there's times when bringing everything can feel weighty.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was just making sure that you're finding opportunities to share all of it. We used to have a thing, not necessarily with relationships, romantically, but just team-wise. Hey, in a meeting, if you have something to say to somebody, if you have a conflict, you have to bring it all to the table, and we have to commit before we talk about this. Everything is out in the open.
Yes.
And if you can't commit to putting everything out in the open, then we're not even going to have this conversation. So then both parties are on the same page, going, okay, I'm committed to sharing everything, and I'm committed to receiving everything. And then we're together committing that when we're going to leave this place, we're going to resolve all of this stuff, but there's going to be no hidden offense.
Yeah.
There's going to be nothing we're holding on to. And so I think, yeah, that's a huge thing that I feel like.
Why do you think you have to give it all?
because otherwise it grows back, and it grows back tenfold.
Interesting,
You know?
tenfold.
Like it's just heavier than it was before, because then it's like a snowball where if you don't fully deal with it, or somebody's hurt you or offended you or didn't interact with you the way that you wanted them to, and then you're still holding on to something, the moment down the road when you didn't deal with it, the moment something comes up again to validate that, it all of a sudden doubles in size. And then you start building a case for, this is why this person's wrong, or this is why this person, has all these issues, or this is why X, Y, and Z. It's because now you have something that's attached to you that's even grown like bigger than it was before.
So I love that. Like, you bring everything to the table. You don't hide anything. Why do you think people like? It's hard to bring everything, I guess. Why you hide?
Yeah. It could be exhausting to bring everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be afraid to bring everything because what
That's
if this
true.
goes really bad, and or what if they disagree, and then you start playing out all the worst case scenarios. You have a big fight, and then it's over. It's a wrap. Or so then what we do in relationships is then we withhold things because we don't want play the whole thing out. Then we're gonna break up or not be together. But then you're not actually being honest.
Wow.
About who you are, about what you want, about how you
Dang.
feel. And so it's like, bring it all to the table.